Welcome along, it's Wednesday, and of course that means it's West London. Well, only every fortnight, so not every week here on WahooRGT, but this is one of those magical WahooRGT West London Wednesdays. And we've got a brand new course for you today, and we built this one around the steering it brought in last autumn, and it's got some tight bends on it. Now, we're not sure how this will play out. It'll be interesting to see the tactics in this race. It's fairly flat. Now, you see these little 90-degree bends that we put in there as we go around these residential housing estates here, which provide lots of little tight-angled bends. Now, we don't think that they're going to sort of cause too much trouble, but obviously it will jam on the brakes to an extent in the race. You've got that long straight towards the end of the lap. That does go slightly uphill, a little dip at the end, turns right, and there's a nasty bend just before the finishing line. So we have no idea how this can play out. Our guess is that the big players will push hard at the front to try and break up the front group and try and get splits in the peloton, but we shall see. 15.2k, so we've got 3 laps to do here, so let's see how it all plays out. And the series shaping up quite nicely now. The Scots very pleased with themselves. Alistair McAlpine from Glasgow United, who lead the team to a competition. And we've also got James Melville at 7th and Stevie Cooper at 9th, all from Glasgow United. Jan van Oudenaarde is in 2nd place. Now, he's only 10 points behind Alistair. Sam Josh pushing there. Rob Miller from R3L and Craig Jones, the Welshman, all in the mix there. Wouter Clays not far behind, but of course, if you look at the points difference between Wouter and the top, you'll wonder why it's so big, and it's really because Wouter's missed one race. Now, with summer holidays, will any of the top 5 or top 4 miss races and open up gaps for those sitting behind? Who knows? There is a best of 6 competition as well. We're on race 7.6 now, so it'll start playing out as from the next race. In the Ladies' League, Maria Vitsky from Puerto Rico leading. Eileen Davidson is in 2nd place, and I think we need to go at the start line because there's only 30 seconds left before we start the race. So let's have a look what it looks like. As I say, counting down there, 29 seconds. Plenty of people lined up there. See Rob Miller's in there. Francois Heike from Belgium, Wallonia in there. Great to see him. Malcolm Murdoch doesn't usually ride on WahooRGT, so nice to see him. Maron Cesson, I see him there. Yep, Snaver, James Melville, of course. Top Jimmy, who I found out lives locally, I didn't know that. Richard Ackers, our REAC in there. Jan van Oudenaarde, as we know. Vaslotti from United States. Rob Gilmore in there as well. And they are off. Now, it's ferocious at the start of these. Everybody pushes off to try and break away and leave some people behind. And it's some of the R3R guys who are pushing off on the front to start with. It's Jan van... Oh, no, it's not. It's Richard Riak. I get a bit confused. Richard wears a sky blue jersey, and it's not... you can see it's not actually a Riak, an R3R one. It's a Riak one. So they weren't, in fact... But you can see plenty of sky blue jerseys in there, so you know that R3R are well represented. Now, Richard Ackers, the REAC rider, who's currently in about 7th position, something like that, I would guess. He's a local rider who does a lot of training courses on WahooRGT, so look out for those. The rest of the sky blue jerseys will be R3R. Now, if they've got an orange helmet, they're from R3R Speedwagon. If they've got black helmet, they're from R3R Main. 27, there's probably 35 people still in this group. It hasn't really split up. You can see Gianon there, 33rd. Just struggling to keep on. Somebody on the right, though, just getting by and getting themselves on. Gianon is now, I think, drifting. It's going to be a bit of a shove to have to get, he's going to have to work hard to get on that group, and the gap's getting a little bit bigger as they go around these tight bends. It's whether or not the tight bends cause enough braking to allow them to catch up. So, Jorgen van Beurs from Ratio Racing is out front at the moment, and Ivan van Beurs, sorry, it's Ivan van Beurs. It's Ingmar van Beurs. There's 2. There's Jurgen and Ingmar. They are brothers. Alistair McAlpine just found. This is Ingmar. Both ride for Ratio Racing, the van Beurs, and of course from the Netherlands. Rob Miller up in 2nd. Craig Jones, we can see in there. Lake is up there in 1st place, riding for OTR. Great to see them having somebody up the front there. Don't forget, OTR run lots of great events on WahooRGT, including Love TTT, in which we participate ourselves. So it's Tony Lake from the OTR UV team. They have several teams, so the UV tells you which one of the teams they are in their distinctive OTR kit, white jerseys, black and green. So Tony Lake, just ahead of Ingmar, Rob Miller, A. Dubré from France is also in there. Jep Snaver from Denmark. And who else have we got in there? I see Danny Stein. Good to see him up there from the Sands team that South Africa is in. Gopin Thakkar in 11th. That's great news. I think you'd be very pleased with that. And as I said, I would have expected this to split into groups, and it's beginning to fragment now. You can see the fragmentation just beginning as Rob Miller puts that pressure on the front, drawing everybody out. And I think that's where you'll see some of the other people begin to fall off. And this is where the front group will probably manifest itself as Duplay, the Frenchman, now chasing hard. He's on his own. No draft there, but it looks like Tony Lake is coming across to join him. Anthony Dubré. I am not sure whereabouts in France he's from, but great to see him charging like this, and it'd be great if some other people could get on there, work together. I think he's going to make it across to Rob Miller, though. I don't think Rob will be favouring the idea of going out front for the whole race, so I think he won't be too bothered if people catch him up, but it's more about splintering it at the back. And you can see that the bunch is spread out into a long line, and this is the effect it has. And where the gaps appear, people will fall off and not be able to get back on again. See here, Walker in 28th, Mike Wareham safely up in 25th, but it looks like Walker, the Scotsman here, Andrew Walker, is probably going to struggle to get back on. I'm not entirely sure, though. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, he's not actually, maybe he is. And that's halfway around the first lap. And as I say, there's 3 of these laps to go. Plenty of bends. Eileen Davison in 29th. She will be pleased with that, but I think she'd like to get on somebody's wheel. She can see the group ahead. She's probably favourite, I think, for the ladies' competition. Hasn't raced the full 6 races yet, so she's got points that she can make up. On her own at the moment, we'll see what happens. She's only 5 metres ahead of Christoph, so there maybe they'll get together. So 5 minutes behind now. 31 metres to the next person, though, so she maybe wants to stay on the wheel of the Frenchman Swad Christophe and maybe use the wheel. And there she is. Nice little wave. Good to see you, Eileen. Eileen hasn't been well this week, so she wasn't too sure whether she'd make it. So it's great to see her out there. And 28th will do very, very nicely, I'm sure. Al Marchi is in 31st and a little bit alone. Hopefully some groups will form for these other people. David Buckley, great to see him out there. Until recently, David had done every race we had ever run, and he missed the last one. And I think we've sort of done something like about 80 races, and he's ridden 79 of them. So great to see him back. Gianon, who we saw struggling to keep on the group before, just behind David Buckley. Not a bad wheel to be on. David Buckley's got a great sprint at the end. Guy Hazert from Germany is in 34th. None of these riders really riding in groups. It can be advantageous if you can get into a group. Teixeira from Portugal is the next one. You can see it's all a bit straggled if you can form little groups. Mark Allard, your other ZMS commentator, and he will be commentating throughout Chase the Yellow during July. And if you haven't seen the adverts for that, make sure you catch one and get yourself signed up. 9 stages throughout July, slightly sort of mirroring the Tour de France. You only have to ride three nights a week, though. This could be the formation of a group, couldn't it? As I say, Mark Allard will be your commentator for Chase the Yellow, so nice to see him get a bit of racing in before he's sitting behind the mic doing this job. Vassilotti at 39th, and James Paul. Now, he had to have a special mention because I was communicating with him. This is his first ever race on WahooRGT, he was telling us, and didn't quite know what to expect. But he's comfortably away, isn't he? In 40th, he's got 50 metres back to Murevitsky. If you can get on Vassilotti's wheel and get into a little bit of a group, that'd be fantastic. So, well done. A couple of West London riders here. Malcolm Murdoch, 3 of them actually. Malcolm Murdoch, Jose Espinosa and Maria Vetsky, the latter 2 from Puerto Rico. Miguel Canada, who I've recently been calling Mark Canada for some reason, but it's Miguel Canada, overtakes them and pushes up. And we've got Sea Rider and Fernando in 46th and 47th. following up behind them. Jose Espinosa just falling off the other two by the looks of it. And I'm trying to see where Malcolm Murdoch's moved ahead of Migu. So a little bit of jostling at the back. Sea Rider last. And no, not quite last. There's Fernando behind, isn't there? Fernando in the Ukraine kit. So that's it. 47 riders battling it out at the moment. Quite good summer numbers. Obviously, we get a lot more in the winter. But nevertheless, keenly contested at the front as ever, and R3R have been putting a lot into this, but look who's going off the front now. Yep, Snaver. Oh, no, sorry, it's Rob Miller. No, it is Yep Snaver. Sorry, I was right the first time. Danish riders are quite dominant on WahooRGT. They put a lot into this. And look at Dupré. He is absolutely going for it, isn't he? And he's he's gone in front of Yep. Maybe this duo can work together. Not sure if they're speaking to each other, and if so, in what language. But Anthony Dupré is putting on a bit of a show in this, and I'm not sure he's ridden with us before, but he can certainly come back and do this again. This makes it very, very entertaining. And taking little turns on the front, but Stevie Cooper from Glasgow United chasing them down now, but he hasn't got a big part of people behind him. So this is straggling again, and this is what we mean by the thinning effect. When you put the pedal to the metal at the front and you push hard on the rivet, this is the danger it can cause. Stevie Cooper then for Glasgow United, third of the Glasgow United riders in the standings. Interestingly, Stevie going around the outside of that bend while the other two went on the inside. Now Stevie now moving into the middle. I'm not sure how much people use the steering, but my experience is if you can get on the inside of a lane, you do steal a couple of yards on everybody. Make up a second or two. Craig Jones at 13th is the man on the back of this group. Gautam Thacker leading the group behind in 14th, 50 metres behind. I think Gautam will be quite happy with something like 14th position. Would have liked to have stayed on the front group longer, but he'll be delighted with that nevertheless. Craig Jones just struggling to keep on. And look, Gautam can see him ahead. That must be agonising. Must be agonising watching that. He's got 10 metres on Ingmar van Beurs and Carl Dickerson, Paul Prudel in there, Ingve Holtan as well, and Jones, the Welshman. But Gautam's going out on his own. Ingmar sitting on his wheel, taking the draft. Is Ingmar going to do a turn on the front, and can they catch them? I've got a feeling the gap isn't widening that much. They can still see them. It's 58 metres. It's gone out a little bit, but if three can work together, there's half a chance. And don't forget that some of the riders ahead might fall off the group, and in which case it gives Gautam and the others a chance to form another little subgroup and work together. 6.5 kilometres gone. We're on lap 2. It's plenty to go. There's still 8.5 kilometres to go. Craig Jones has fallen off, so it's down to a dozen riders on the front now. Tony Lake in there, Francois Ike from Belgium and Wallonia, the two OTR riders. I beg your pardon. Francois is from Moon Riders, of course. They also wear black, green and white, but Moon Riders at this time. And Tony Lake from the OTR team, the UV version of it. And Rob Miller's gone out on his own. Now, he's ridden quite aggressively in quite a few of these races as we go around another one of these bends. So it's, I think if you can get around one of those bends quite cleanly and everybody else behind you has to brake, you might steal a yard or so. I'm not sure. I haven't made one this twisty on WahooRGT yet, so it's a bit of an experiment. But certainly these three are out on their own. Tony Lake suffering a little bit, the OTR rider now, just falling off that group, which means it's down to 11, the attritional nature of it. Now look at the two riders going on the inside there. We lost the shot, but you look, everybody went around the outside except for two who cut on the inside. They will have got an advantage out of that. It might be small, but you keep doing it over the race and it will pay dividends. Meanwhile, these three are out on their own. Can the group get together and make up the gap? It's 34 metres at the moment. Marino Sesson is at the front of that group. It's James Melville now, though. Jan van Oudenaarde, Alistair McAlpine leading the series. Johan Olofsky, one of our best buddies. He helped form parts of this series with some of his suggestions, gave us some ideas, and we took them on board. So we're always grateful to Johan, who's been with us for a long, long time. Rides for South Africa, New Zealand, a South African based in New Zealand. And this little quartet are going to make the bridge, aren't they? They're going to make it into a 7. And look at that. Glasgow United, well represented here. Both Alistair McAlpine and James Melville in the GCN kits there, alongside Jan van Oudenaarde, and Marino's already made the junction, but these three just holding off a little bit. They can push, especially James Melville. He can push hard on the front. Now he's gone and made the junction. Now can Alistair do it? It's quite critical for Alistair. He wants to finish in the first bunch. He's leading the series. This is quite an important moment for Alistair. He does not want to get dropped. He's not far off, and I think he's going to make it. Jan is just about on the back. Marino in front of him. And again, look at the cornering here. Look at the difference. How many riders go around the outside and how many use the steering to get on the inside. My advice is to use the steering. That inside is advantageous. And it's Anthony Dubray again. This man is putting on a show for us. And, well, he's welcome back anytime if he's going to do this. We love riders who do this. And there's quite a few in there. James Melville just behind him is known for this sort of thing. It lights up the race, and they don't always win. 8th position, can Richard Ackers get into that group as well? That would be fantastic. Richard was 6th last time, one of his best results, and I think he could emulate this again. Look at that, power's back on. 62 metres back to Francois Ike and Johan Olofsson. Stevie Cooper is in that little trio as well. Tony Lake further back with 50 metres back to Craig Jones after that. Stay on there, Richard. You've made the junction. Make sure you stay on there. Anthony Dubray's having none of that. He's just putting loads and loads of pressure on the front, isn't he? Just look at it. He's relentless, and I think he's out to win this. You'll almost feel sorry for him if somebody just skips him on the sprint. I'm looking at that. I mean, it's not full of sprinters. Marino Sesson, I think, is not a bad sprinter. I think this is not. I don't think there's a danger that you could spend a lot of time on the front and get caught out by the extra good sprinters, because I don't think this bunch is full of the out and out sprinter types. So this could be quite an interesting battle in the final stages. And we've got this group of 8, and they are now over 100 metres ahead of the second group, being led currently by Johan Olofsson. So we've got 5.5 kilometres to go, and shortly be getting ourselves onto lap 3. And we look at the course again. Let's say this is around a residential area, and as I say, it was deliberate. It's just because rows and rows of houses give you lots and lots of little tight bends that you can throw in. And as I say, this was devised around the time WahooRGT brought in steering, because we thought, well, this steering, let's put some bends in. Of course, in reality, the steering isn't so much about the bends on WahooRGT. The steering's really about your position across the width of the road. So it probably wasn't that significant to an RGT course, but nevertheless, of course, RGT does brake on the corners, and we see that other platforms are beginning to respond to the innovations put through by people like WahooRGT and others in VR e-racing. Francois Ike from Belgium now leading the next group. He's got Stevie Cooper, the third. And again, you see Francois takes that inside lane as he comes through and starts lap 3 with 5 kilometres to go. Johan Olofsson, a strong rider. I think those two could really have a good battle for the finishing positions. Craig Jones and Tony Lake and a little duo of their own. And then another 90 metres back to Carl Deggerson from the South Africa-New Zealand team, who's leading an esteemed little bunch. He's got Ingmar van Beurs and Gautam Thacker with him. I'm trying to think. Both Ingmar and Carl are actually probably good finishers. Gautam on his day certainly can be. Did a TTT last night, so I don't know what legs he's got left after that. And he got a half decent time. He was in the first 3 finishing and left the others behind. Jones 17th, a little bit on his own there. Debatable whether it's just Darren Jones. I don't know whether it's worth waiting for the next rider. The next rider is Grant Webb, Ingve Holtan, Paul Poodle is the next bunch. There's Grant there. 50 metres, if you're tiring, probably best to wait for the next bunch and sit on somebody's wheel. If your legs are good, I'll try and hold the gap. The other two can see ahead now. That's Paul Poodle and Yngve Holtan. They should probably try and get in on Grant's wheel and see what they can do. Behind them, Lauritsen from Denmark and Top Jimmy, who I should give a mention to. I didn't realise that Jimmy actually lived locally to me. I just assumed he was from somewhere else. He's actually James from Uxbridge. He was telling me, Andrei Kajewski with him. I hadn't mentioned him, one of the Ratio riders. Top Jimmy is James from Uxbridge, which sounds like a caller on a radio programme, doesn't it? But Danny Stein and Andrei Kajewski, long-term participants in these races. Andrei and Danny have been with us since almost day one, and we're in our fourth year now. Andrei living up in Manchester, riding for Ratio Racing, one of the great teams on RGT. And have been for some time. So great to see you, Andre, and you too, James from Uxbridge, or Top Jimmy. And we go back to the front. And there is something, James Melville's on the front now. So Andre Dupre didn't make that stick. And again, look at the difference. Look at the ones who steer around the corner. They all cut in and immediately go in front of James Melville. And I assume that's Rob Miller. I'm wondering actually if Rob Miller might be a favourite in the sprint. That'll be an interesting call, won't it? 3 kilometres to go. Will they play cat and mouse? I think Anthony Dupre, Marino's just dropped off the back a little bit. I think Marino can power up and do little spurts. I think he'll get back on, and there he does it. Right on cue. Well done, Marino. Thanks for making the commentator look right for once. Now let's have a look at the corner. Everybody went round the outside of this one, didn't they? Everybody. Nobody steered that one. Maybe they're concentrating a little bit on each other rather than the road at the moment. Rob Miller pushing at the front. James Melville not letting him get away. It's interesting. I don't think James and Alistair necessarily play team tactics to help Alistair win the series. He's the current leader. But I wonder if they will in the latter races. I know certainly the Ratio team, when they've had Nick Greenouch leading the series, have gone out there and played away to support him. We see the live ZMS studio there. Look at all those screens. Imagine when that's Chase the Yellow. That's going to be all yellow, isn't it? You got a little advert for Chase the Yellow on the second screen there. It's while we're looking at this last couple of kilometres. There we are, look. Chase the Yellow. This is coming up in July. 3 races a week, Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. You can pick your time. There's a range of times. There's short versions of Tour de France courses. Looks absolutely splendid, doesn't it? So make sure you're signed up for that. You can do teams as well. You need 6 riders for a team. Or in fact, you can do it with 3, but you'll have to make sure all 3 can ride every race. This is going to be phenomenal. It's on WahooRGT and starts in the beginning of July for 3 weeks. 9 races. You don't have to do 21 stages like the Tour de France. And here we are, 7, 8 and 9 coming up for you to view. And Montvernier, which I think I've ridden that one actually in real life, and Versailles to Paris, which I haven't ridden, although I have ridden near Versailles. I think maybe one of the PVPs, maybe it didn't go through Versailles but said it did. Anyway, James Melville now, 1.5 kilometres to go. Let's get back to the action because this is where it all gets tasty. It's Jan van Oudenaarde riding for the R3R team. With a black helmet, so that's an R3R team. You can see one of the others, there's 3 R3R riders in there. One of them's got an orange helmet, so they're riding for R3R Speedwagon as opposed to R3R. So they've got 3 riders in that group of 8, 7 actually. I think Marino's, he's drifted off the back a little bit, so whether or not he's struggling a little bit. Rob Miller, I think, is a little bit off the back too, and he's the Speedwagon rider, I think. And Anthony Dupre has got his legs back. He's had a nice little rest in the pack, and I think he is going to storm away in this. He's putting out some heavy watts though. Maybe not too bad. Let's see how he sustains that. It's too heavy. It does cause some doubts, but I think that's probably okay. Whether or not he can sustain that. James Melville, though, look at James Melville catching him up. And has Andre gone too soon? James looks like he's flown by. Andre's not sitting on his wheel, is he? Andre gets up out of the saddle. Alistair McAlpine's chasing as well. This could be the second race running where Glasgow United have two in the top three, because it looks like the top three are going to be this. Alistair McAlpine looking really, really strong. Anthony Dubray trying once again with 500 metres to go. This could be too soon, though. I think the Glasgow United riders are going to sit on his wheel and try and pounce around him. They came second and third last time round. Can they better that this time? James just drifting off a little bit, but I know James has got a kick to him, so he won't be off there too long. Two R3R riders in fourth and fifth position now, clear of Richard Ackers and Rob Miller. But it's these three we're focused on. 280 metres to go. Now Andre takes a turn on the back. Andre now trying to go round the side. He's going for the sprint at 200 metres. Again, it could be too early. Alistair McAlpine is going for it too. Andre's looking stronger at the moment, but there's still 100 metres to go. Andre is going to do it though, isn't he? And that was a lot of what's been put out there. Andre taking it just ahead of Alistair McAlpine, James Melbourne. Jan van Oudenaarde also up there contesting it. Just pips it from Jep Snaver. Richard Ackers for Richard Riak taking a sixth position for the second race running. Rob Miller sadly dropping back to seventh. Marino didn't have the legs that I thought he had. I really thought he would sit it out to the finish. He can be a good finisher. He takes eight. Stevie Cooper making sure that there's three Glasgow United riders in the top 10. And it is only going to be the top 10. Francois Ike, a strong rider. I was a little bit surprised to see him drop out of the groups, but he still had some legs left at the finish. And I think actually Stevie Cooper is going to drop down to 11th because Johan Olofsey's just gone past him as well with a terrific finish for the South Africa New Zealand team. So make sure you stick with the 11th. I predicted that one a bit too early. Craig Jones strongly coming in for a 12th position here. And Tony Lake, the OTR UVR rider. Don't forget Love TTT, the OTR, one of the OTR events. Carl Dickerson making sure South Africa New Zealand have two in the top 15. I might have got that bit right actually. Eimar van Beurs just pipping Gautam Thacker. A great finish by Gautam though. He'll be very pleased with that. And Darren Jones now 17th, the Welshman, comfortable 115 metres ahead of Paul Poodle and Grant Webb. And I think Paul and Grant might have a bit of a sprint on here. Paul Poodle pushing out first, 40 metres to go, and I don't think Grant is going to match that. And Paul takes it ahead of Grant. Ingve Holten, the Norwegian, is going to take 20th position because Top Jimmy is 50 metres behind. But Top Jimmy's got competition. He's in a little clutch of four riders. So we've got another sprint finish to look forward to here from the next four. Ingve Holten. We missed the finish, didn't we? Sorry. That's a shame. 25th, Murray. And Mike Wareham for Moon Riders just overtaking the OTR rider and snatching 25th position. So we'll go back to the Top Jimmy group. Top Jimmy is 22nd. We'll have to look how that one played itself out. I think Danny Stain was in that group, Lauritsen, and somebody else came 21st. TX Sierra, the Portuguese, now coming in 27th place, fairly solo, 130 metres back to Christophe, the Frenchman. Two Frenchmen doing very, very well today. And just going around the outside. No reason to really sprint. It's 50 metres back to Walker in 29th position. And David Buckley is comfortably clear of Marchie and will take 30th position. David, who's only ever missed one race now. At least the script's changed a little bit. Well done, David. Well done. And Marchie coming in at 31st position. Gilmore is next. Rob Gilmore is coming in 32nd. These riders not really needed to contest the finishes. Kelper at 33rd. Similarly, got 80 metres on Eileen Davison. Eileen Davison is going to be comfortably ahead of the next rider. But most importantly for her, that's another 100 points in the Ladies' Championship. And I think she'll be very happy with that, especially having been in a sick bed this week. Here comes Eileen in the West London kit. Comfortably keep West London ladies top of the Ladies' League, and lots of trophies on the way to the ladies in that team, that's for sure. Vasalotti is about to lose a place to Novi. The Canadian comes steaming past right at the end there, and that is quite a phenomenal finish. Bassilotti just having to accept that one. Canadian beating the American, and Gianon, another American, coming in 37th just after that. And guess what? Another Canadian. So 2 Canadians, 2 Americans coming in a little group. Mark Allard, as I say, he'll be the commentator for you on all those Chase the Yellow races. If he falls sick, you might have to suffer me. But Mark is a great commentator, and I think it's going to add to the thrills of what looks to be a great series. So Mark coming in, the Canadian running for West London. He's comfortably 140 metres ahead of Haysart and Brett Smith and Malcolm Murdoch, 2 other West London riders. And talking about Canadians, we've got Migu Canada in 42nd yet to come in. Looking at the race results, Anthony Dubray, some massive watts at the end, and I might just have another look at that. Alistair McAlpine taking second, James Melville third, as we watch Hassart stroll into the finishing straight, proudly displaying the German flag for a very well-earned 39th position, and comfortably ahead of Malcolm Murdoch, 180 metres behind. So Alistair McAlpine and James Melville for the second time get... now, can the West London riders take Migu Canada? I put my money on Brett here. Brett is certainly going to take a space, but I think Migu's going to hold off Malcolm Murdoch. So Brett Smith taking 40th, Malcolm Murdoch sandwiching Migu Canada in the middle with 2 West London riders. Fernando, 43rd, in the Ukrainian jersey. Quite a big gap back to James Paul making his debut. We mentioned him earlier and very kindly got in touch with us to say that it was his first race and he didn't really know what to expect, so we gave him a little bit of an insight, which he thanked us for, and we thank him for being here, so great. But meanwhile, let's watch Fernando, the American, finishing in here in the Ukraine jersey, and we can have a look at James Paul. And James Paul from Scotland, as you can see by the flag with the Saltar, and he's got 500 metres to go. I'd be interested to know what you thought of it. If you're watching this, James, let me know. It was quite interesting to have a little discussion with James this morning or this afternoon, just explaining how it all works and you know what it's like at the start, because it's quite ferocious and everybody piles off at the start. And as I say, my favourite tactic is to try and get in groups, and sometimes I will actually sit up and wait for a group to catch me so I can get in one. Not that I race these so much these days, but I was giving him a few tips. He's ended up a little bit solo though, hasn't he? Unfortunately, never mind. It's all about learning. He's not under any pressure to finish though, is he? So you can just roll home now. He's got 130 metres. Going to overtake one of the. You ignore those ones. They're the camera bots. They're not really riders. And James comes in and takes the applause of the Avatar crowd and finishes his first ever race on WahooRGT. Well done, James. Great to have you on board. Maria loves doing these. She's from Puerto Rico, and her husband is. She's beaten her husband by 250 metres at the moment, Jose Espinosa. So. I think there's probably something going on in there where maybe the winner has to buy the drinks, or maybe the loser cooks it. I don't know. Because of course these races they're in the afternoon in Puerto Rico, aren't they? Whereas they're in the evening for those of us in Europe, so they can go out for all sorts of celebratory events afterwards, and of course winners and losers can pay the debts. As Maria comes in and clocks up some more points in the Ladies' Championship, she currently leads, gives us a little wave as she comes through and takes 45th position. She'll be pleased with that. It looks like Jessica Wright didn't make it. She was touch and go in the traffic coming home from work, and it looks like the traffic won that little duel. Jose hasn't ridden for a while with us, actually, but he's back again, coming in 46th position and doing it very, very smoothly with a plum, as the sort of a plum that you'd expect an experienced gentleman of his age to do. So, finally, C. Ryder is our last rider on the road. 900 metres to go. Chris Ryder it is. So, I'm not sure if we're going to sit through this, but let's have a look at the... we can watch Chris, can't we? We'll go through some of the other results. I don't think I got through the first riders, but let's look at 26. Mike Murray, OTR, Paolo Teixeira, the Portuguese, Suad Christophe from France, Andrew Walker, David Buckley, the perennial wonderful David Buckley's got a great sprint on him if he can stay in those groups. Al Marchi took 31st, Robert Gilmore 32nd, Matt Keeper 33rd, Arlene Davidson 34th, Christoph Novi 35th, Mark Vassilotti at 36th, Joe Gianon at 32nd, Mark Allard, the resident commentator on these, well, not these races, but plenty of the ZMS ones, is in 38th. Great to see you, Mark. And I think he rode last night in the TTT as well, so extra well done. As did Brett Smith in 40th, and in between them, Gregor Hazard, the German, at 39th. Migu Canada at 41st. Malcolm Murdoch didn't have quite enough to pit Migu on the lines, had to settle 42nd, but was well ahead of Maura Fernando. And James Paul making his debut 44th, Maria Witzke 45th, Jose at 46th, and we're watching Chris Ryder coming home, enjoying the scenery, and this is very much what I describe as Northern Hemisphere, mid-Northern Hemisphere scenery, deciduous trees and quite green. Not pedalling at the moment. I hope he hasn't had a loss of power or something like that, not a mechanical or drop out or anything like that. Maybe he's just freewheeling, but the legs aren't going round, and there's naught appearing in the power. So something might have gone wrong. Can he freewheel to the finish? Let's hope so. There's absolutely no power. If you look at the top left-hand corner, there's no power. The bike's slowing down, but it looks like it's going to get over the finishing line, and it does. There we are. Fantastic. So let's recap. Anthony Dubray with that massive power out at the end takes it and consigns Alistair and James as second and third for the second race running. I don't think they'll be too bothered. I mean, it's nice to win races, and of course they want to win, but this consolidates their position both in the top 10, and Alistair is the series leader, but Glasgow United absolutely caning it at the top of the team's classification. Jan van Oudenaarde, this guy's evergreen, just keeps getting good results. Yep, Snaver is proving to be a bit of a king in this too. Richard Ackers is really coming to his own, delighted. Lovely guy, and puts a lot of stuff out for training and all the rest of it, so look out for anything you see React, that's Richard's stuff. Rob Miller, he's the man who organises the whole R3R team for us, does a lot of work behind the scenes, so always great to see him finishing up there. Dropped off the pack a little bit unlucky, but Rob will live to fight another day, as will Marino Sassani from ADR. Francois Ike, one of my favourite riders, haven't seen him for a little while, so it's great to have him back. Thanks for joining us, Francois. And another one of my favourites, Johan Orlovsky. When I say favourites, we don't have favourites in the kind of bias sense. They're just people that have been racing with us for a long time, and we know. Johan, of course, has contributed massively over the years to helping shape this series. So it's been another fantastic race. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time on WahooRGT, and as I said, make sure you look out for the Chase the Yellow series. That one is going to be an absolute cracker. It runs through 3 weeks of July, the 3 weeks of course, the Tour de France. It mimics the Tour de France. The stages are much shorter than Tour de France stages. They're only sort of like 20 kilometres or maybe 30 kilometres. So you don't have to race every day either. They're Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays. You can put in teams. Make sure you're in it. It's going to be a big one. And it showcases the best of WahooRGT, doesn't it? So, we've seen some of the best of WahooRGT again this evening. These West London VR races are absolutely phenomenal. Make sure you signed up for 2 weeks' time. It's going to be another cracker. See you soon. Bye.